All right, so what are we talking about tonight? Are we talking about Army of Darkness, Dark Army, and or Army of Darkness? What are we doing?
I think we should do the Zack Snyder joint.
Welcome back, folks, to another Lone Wolf Howlcast, howling out for logic and reason in a world that's still bananas. As Tiral had just said, we are going to do a review of... I already forgot the title, Tiral.
Yeah, Army of the Dead?
Is it Army of the Dead? Are you sure it's not Army of Darkness? No,
I mean,
that's the Bruce Campbell flick.
that's the classic, man.
That's the classic. That's my boomstick. Oh, man, I saw a real funny meme today. It was the old Bed Knobs and Broomsticks movie poster, except it was Bed Knobs and Boomsticks. And it's Ash from the cover of Army of Darkness, where his shirt's all shredded, and he's holding the shotgun over his head on the poster. With like these prim people in their 1930s wear. It was great.
Okay, so what are we setting as the guidelines to judge this movie?
Okay,
Like,
well, as we've learned a few reviews ago from the amazing Justice League, I guess, original version, because it started with Zack Snyder, then ended with somebody else, and then came back around.
yeah,
I'm a Zack Snyder
right.
fan. 300? Come on,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, 300, you can't mess with 300.
This one sucked.
I noticed two camps. There's the film people who absolutely hated it, and then there's like the Call of Duty people who thought it was super fun and and it seems like those two camps don't intermingle. The people who liked it, they just say the same thing. Oh, it was fun, and like everybody else, just like the hell is this brain dead? So so let's address that. Did you think the movie was fun? Forget the logic, forget every script, anything. Was it just a fun watch?
Yes, it was very tropey, so that, like, if you watched it from that perspective of this is going to be every trope you can imagine, and I have to say, and we'll get to it, there was loads of homages to other movies in it too. But
True.
if you watch it superficially as a Bulletstorm zombie movie, then it's good. Then you'll like it. It's an action-packed Bulletstorm, zombies everywhere movie with even a unique take on the zombie. There's actually quite a few unique takes on the zombies, which I thought that part was cool. Like, if you dissect it, there's some pretty cool concepts going on, but the total project was meh unless you approach it as a Bulletstorm action-packed zombie movie.
I can't disagree with you at all. There's these ideas in the movie that he put in and just does nothing with, or like doesn't explain. And maybe we'll see something in the sequel because there are gonna be sequels. The business story behind this one is that after the whole thing with the DCU movies with Snyder, he went to Netflix and says, "I want to do a movie. The only thing is, you have to give me this budget, and you can't tell me to do anything. Like, I'm the boss. Like, I'm not gonna listen to nobody. No editing. I'm not gonna take any corporate notes. Nothing." So then Netflix came back to him and was like, "Okay, but we'll only give you this much amount of money." And because he was so angry with his whole Justice League experience, he just took it. That this is a movie that occurs when no one is there to tell someone no. There's no collaboration. It's just like, this is you.
Yeah, it's kind of like this is my film school project, I guess.
You know that Zack Snyder, his first real film school project was a zombie flick, and it's really good. This is one point I
Was it
wanted to
28
make.
Days Later?
No, no, he
Okay.
he made a literal of the Dead, like a Rick Romero type.
I was about to say Cesar Romero, the original Penguin.
Yeah, no, but his first breakout flick wasn't 300. 300 pushed him into the stratosphere, but his like coming out of film school flick was a zombie movie, and as crazy as it sounds, that movie is like 10 times better than this. It's weird, it's a weird situation. But yeah, no one told him no, no editing, no help, nothing. It was just like that was a Netflix deal, and based on the viewership, Netflix came out ahead.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, right, the end goal is, does it get more eyeballs on the product and more subscriptions, right? So,
Yeah, and it did. I watched it for two reasons. I watched it because me and you wanted to talk about it, and the trailer looked good, And I wanted to support Dave Bautista in his first like leading role of a movie. Like he was a leading role in another movie where he was like the security, and it was a little girl, and it was like a family thing. But even then, he wasn't like the lead. He wasn't being paid like the lead. This is his first movie that he's being paid as the lead actor.
Wasn't he the lead
So
in that comedy Uber?
that was with Kumail Nanjiani. Yeah, he
Yeah, but
wasn't
it
the
was like,
lead.
I mean, he definitely outshined
Kumail.
Camille.
Yeah.
So okay, maybe he was co-starring.
So this was what he said in an interview because James Gunn wanted him to be in his next movie, and he said he had to refuse because they're giving him lead actor money on this one.
But wasn't
So
he? Wait, didn't James Gunn do Guardians?
yeah,
And, wow, Batista said no to one of those because I mean, okay, maybe he wasn't the lead. I guess Chris Pratt and Zoe Saldana would be considered the leads
yeah,
in those. But I
yeah,
mean, if you're going to be in another James Gunn movie with that kind of popularity, pushing you, you
right.
figure that would open more projects if you took maybe the second fiddle again instead of the lead.
He took the chance. He like, literally that was it. Like it was the first lead, first time getting lead money, first time being the face on the poster. So
I can't wait till he's in the next sequel Star Wars trilogy as whatever. I'll still watch it. He's
I'll
not,
say
folks. I'm just making that up. That's just a pipe dream that Batista as, I don't know, badass number one guy. Whatever.
well, the thing with Bautista is that we're finding he has so much range and he's got charisma. And I mean, the only thing going against him is his age, but he can headline movies. Like I'm not saying he's Jason Statham or anything like that, but I'm
Yeah.
thinking like he's a better actor than Dwayne Johnson. I
Yeah,
think
he
so.
definitely has a much more emotional range because The Rock is The Rock in everything he's in.
Every single movie, he's
Right?
always the same guy.
San Andreas with The Rock starring as The Rock.
Yeah.
Journey to the Center of the Earth with The Rock starring as The Rock. Jumanji, The
Right.
Rock.
Right. Well, Bautista, he, even though I hated the movie Blade Runner 2077,
And he
he
didn't
was
have
in
any
the,
speaking lines really in that. I think he said a handful of lines.
it was
And
just the
just like
opening scene.
his body language and the way he emoted on his face.
Yeah. He acted with a capital A.
Yeah, I thought with Army of the Dead though, didn't it look like he bulked up more for this?
I think he did. Yeah.
Yeah.
He
Real
slimmed down for some roles and he bulked up for this one.
real quick side tangent here is I think he was almost 30 when he actually started wrestling. So like he started that late in life. So who knows? I mean, I've watched some interviews and the guy had like a really tough growing up. He had a really not good early childhood into his teens. So to be able to turn around, I would definitely still continue to support the guy just for being able to turn his life around instead of being a gangbanger or in prison.
I agree. I mean, plus the thing that he did for James Gunn, the entire cast of Guardians of the Galaxy abandoned that director except him, and he was just like, "Yeah, I'm gonna throw my career down the toilet. I don't care." That was, dude. He shut himself out of Disney for James Gunn. That was crazy. So I
And
mean,
Disney's still a juggernaut, and somehow that's one of the rare wins against the mouse.
yeah, absolutely. He shut himself off from basically the biggest name in Hollywood, and he came out ahead. Like it's crazy. So if I can, I hate 3 hour movies, but I watched it for him,
I thought it was two and
and
a half, wasn't it?
it was 2.5. Yeah, I'm just rounding it
Yeah.
up. But I mean, he I hope he goes places. So let's see. Maybe hopefully he'll be in better movies.
You just
And
better not show up in a musical,
mm,
unless somehow he ends up being there's like some sort of psychotic ginormo galaxy budget for Rocky Horror Picture Show, and he plays the role of Rocky. And it's just like a walk-on role where it's like, it's Batista playing, the goofy Frankenstein analog,
yeah. So let's get this out of the way.
Let's get to it. I'm gonna start.
Oh no, not spoil. Like still not going to spoilers.
Oh,
Him
spoiler
and
alert, sir.
no
Spoiler
no
alerted us. Spoiler
Him and
alert.
Tig Notaro, when they were on screen, everything was all right. Any other person on screen, this is a crap movie, and they just suffered really hard. Like,
Well,
Tig was hilarious, and
which character was Tig playing, just so everybody knows?
Tig Notaro was the helicopter pilot.
I knew I recognized her from somewhere, and I couldn't remember her name. And I know I've seen her in other stuff recently. She kind of typecasts herself, though, where it's the same exact
Angry
curmudgeonly,
lesbian. Yeah.
acerbic, pessimistic, cynical role every time. And no duh, she's what? She's a lesbian.
I mean, well, that's her on-stage persona as well in her stand-up.
Yeah, duh. I kind of figured that out the first time I saw her on screen.
But
Still,
no,
she's
she was.
awesome. Yeah, you're right. She and Bautista carried it.
But anytime they were not on screen, it was rough. It was.
Actually,
I
not
think.
entirely so. Oh my God, I keep wanting to call him his character name from The Boys, but that's not his name. The black dude. Him in the
Oh,
safecraft.
Mother's Milk.
Mother's Milk, yeah, but his name is Laz. The actor's name is Laz something.
Yeah, the guy who plays Mother's Milk wasn't in this one.
Yeah, wasn't that him or was that
Nope.
Michael Jai White?
That was like a third off-brand Michael Jai
All right,
White.
well now I'm going to IMDb, folks. We're gonna have to hang on here a second. Now Tiral and I are looking like idiots, and like
No,
we
it's
weren't
definitely a
prepared for this.
third guy.
Are you
Eh,
sure?
yeah,
Hang on.
Michael
Now,
Jai White or no, you know why you're thinking that? Because Mother's Milk was in the Jason Statham movie we watched, and he was good.
Army of the Dead, 2021. Oh yeah, Omari Hardwick. No relation to Chris Hardwick, but I'd swear I recognize this guy, and I need to see what else he was in real quick. Okay, he was in Power. That's why Oh yeah, I think he's the lead guy in Power. Yeah, he was in 63 episodes of Power.
Okay.
That's where I recognize him from. So he was the lead guy. Oh, he went from lead in that to third fiddle.
Yeah, so that's a downgrade.
So when there was Vanderoe and Dieter in the same scene, they did carry it together because they had good screen chemistry and they played
did
off
have
each other
very good.
really well.
They
Dieter
had
is the
good chemistry. Yeah.
safecracker. He's the guy that they somehow hire to crack this safe. So let's go over the premise real quick of the movie. And spoilerific, too bad spoilers. It's been out for what, a week, 2 weeks now?
2 weeks.
Okay, spoilerific. All right, the premise is, I don't remember the premise. Yeah, I do. There was some sort of eruption of a zombie plague, and like these spec ops teams were sent in Las Vegas. This eruption happened outside of Las Vegas, and I'll get to that in a little bit. And these spec op teams were sent into Las Vegas to try and clear it up. And when that failed, the government put up a giant wall around Las Vegas with no way in or out to contain the zombies. And you fast forward in time, this spec op team now has like odd jobs. Like Bautista's guy is now flipping burgers in like a greasy spoon diner. Some of the other characters are doing odd jobs here and there, but they're clearly not operating at the level that they used to. And it's clear that they miss it. They get approached by somebody that we later find out owned a casino now that's now locked behind these walls.
Tanaka.
Yeah. The character's name is Bly Tanaka, played by one of my favorites, Hiroyuki Sanada. I think our first exposure to him was in The Last Samurai, the Tom Cruise movie with Ken Watanabe. That's a great movie. Go see that. He's been in a bunch of other stuff. He also played Scorpion in the recent Mortal Kombat movie, amongst other things. However, he's an ancillary character. I think you see him twice, maybe 3 times. And he proposes to Bautista's character, whose name is Scott. He proposes to Scott that he gather a team together and that they go in and pull out $200 million that's locked up in a safe in the basement of Tanaka's casino. One of the cool things I thought, spoiler, one of the cool things I thought is when they flash to a scene with Tanaka and he's got an incoming call on his cell and it says possible instead of like Scott Ward or Dave Bautista. So I thought that was kind of cool because it gave you an idea that this guy was pulling some threads everywhere to see who he could get to go in and grab the money, and not just one guy. I thought that was a really cool little touch.
There's cool little touches throughout the movie, even though the movie's really stupid.
Yeah. So let's start with the opening. So, spoilers, folks. 2 weeks out. You know what? You're not missing anything anyway. Okay, so there's a military convoy heading down, I think, an unnamed, or I don't know, couldn't have, does Route 66 even go through Vegas? I don't even know, Tiral. But it's a military convoy going down an open highway through the desert. They're clearly heading somewhere. There's a bunch of them, Humvees. I believe the transport vehicle is a Buffalo, which is like a multi-gigantic ton, ginormous transport military truck. And there's some sort of cargo container on the back of this transport vehicle. And coming the opposite way down the highway is like some sort of mid 80s sedan with a newlywed couple. And I think the guy is getting a handy in the front seat. And of course, he swerves into the oncoming lane and crashes into the military convoy. Not only does he crash, he obliterates the military transport vehicle that outweighs his car by probably a factor of 10. And these things, I mean, I'm not going to say the military transports are indestructible, but it should have just rolled over the dude's sedan like an afternoon speed bump. And instead, the car explodes, the whole front end of the military transport explodes, and it catapults this storage container a couple, maybe not even 100 yards down the road. And miraculously, this is almost like shipboard hatch pops open on the storage container. And what do all the military guys do? They get out of their vehicles to inspect. Instead of like, hey, you, man that 50 cal up top. Hey, you, stay on comms. Hey, you, now we're all going to get out and go walk up to it slowly. And,
one by one.
Oh, yeah, and one by one, by the way. It's like a ninja move. We'll all fight the good guy, but we're going to take turns. You know? And like so, crawling out of the storage container is a guy who looks like he almost looks like a cheapo version of Weapon X at first. Because he's got medical
That would have been
stuff.
a better movie. Yeah, that would have been a better movie.
He's got cheapo medical stuff all over him. And he's moving like the Flash almost, just running into these guys and like flipping them in the air. While one guy's in the air, he's caving in another guy's head. And before the first guy lands, he's already in the middle of killing a third guy. And so the military guys, of course, being trained as they are, all shoot center mass, which does absolutely nothing. Not even a stray bullet out of like the 30 guys that are shooting at this experimental zombie hit him in the head. It gets worse because the last two survivors from the encounter, for some reason, they walk away instead of running away. And instead of getting in the remaining Humvee, they decide to run on foot. What? So those were bad marks right off the beginning.
Zero military training seen anywhere.
Like except for center mass shooting. That was it.
No survival instinct. They're calling the headquarters like, hey, something happened. And headquarters like, something happened? How? It's like, oh my God.
Well, I think there was one line from their operations contact.
It's like, do not approach.
Said, do not approach, do not open it or whatever. And of course, as soon as that line goes off, the hatch pops open on the container.
And they
I think they were told to stand by and await further orders or something like that. And then this thing just rampages through all of them. I think it's pretty super gory, like almost comical gore at this point.
It was like a superhero villain. It was like a villain scene.
Like, yeah, I was rooting for the bad guy at that point.
I mean, when the one soldier like doesn't like, okay, so their Humvee swerves out of the way and gets off road. They try to walk away from this thing instead of like just getting back into their Humvee and backing out of the ditch and going back on the road.
Yeah, or run it over, back up over it, run it over, back up over it, fill it full of lead, run it over again, and then leave. You know?
Yeah, like the Humvee's like a tank on four wheels. Like it could handle. It's not dead.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're not seeing they're standing right in front of the functional Humvee. And like, come on, let's go. And they start walking away. It's like
what?
I'm getting angry just thinking about that scene right now. Let's move on before I get too crazy.
This is the first scene, by the way. This should have been the first hint.
This is the movie opener.
That like this is not a good movie. Like that should have been the warning. Like, oh, this is going to be a bad time.
So let's move on to some other points. of course, part of the team incorporates this Spanish chick, and I think oddly her name was Chambers. She's dressed up what felt like a strong homage to Vasquez from Aliens.
Has
Like
to be.
black
It's
tank
too.
top, red headband.
Has to be.
It was
Has to be.
so spot on that I was like, how could it not be?
And
You
she
know?
had like the like assault rifle that she looked like she was born with. Like even though like in the story she's like I never shot anything before and like it had to be alien.
Yeah. So if that felt like a nice homage. I know I mentioned some others, but folks, I literally wrote down my viewing notes on the back of an envelope. They're all over the place. So I might get back to some homages later. But okay, so I do want to touch on the nuances, like the spin on zombies instead of just being zombies that shamble around. They or Zack Snyder, I don't know who thought of this, might have been him. That the
Before
zombie.
before you go in, I just
What?
want to say the actual zombies in the zombie world that Zack Snyder created was more interesting and inventive than anything else in the movie.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
that's what I'm leading up to because they had a rudimentary culture.
there was like 8, 9 different types of zombies.
Yep.
There
There
was
was a king and a queen.
they had babies. There's robot zombies.
Hey man, I
They,
thought we weren't even doing any spoilers here, buddy.
I mean, it, I mean, it was like the zombie creativity behind the zombie stuff was so much more than anything else in the movie, and they don't use it. It's that's one of the craziest parts. Is the best part of the movie or the world that they created, they refuse to use.
Right, because some of the zombies were smart, and they actually explain that the military experiment guy who gets away is the alpha, or he's like alpha plus, and then anyone he bites is like not a beta really, but they're like a sub alpha because they still retain some intelligence and some rationale. Maybe not the ability to communicate verbally anymore. Like they're thinking zombies, and I think if they bite anybody, then you just get the regular run of the mill zombie that just runs and bites. By the way, they were fast zombies in this too. They also said something that when the coyote chick is leading them through that break in the wall through like those busted up storage containers, and they come upon like masses of piles of dead. And she's like, "Be
Hmm.
careful. They're just hibernating right now. Just wait until it rains, and this will be a completely different scene." I thought that was a cool take too, that they just kind of go into hibernation.
It
Nothing's going on.
it would have been a great take if there was rain later on in the movie, but
You mean
nothing
like
ever
if
came out
they
of it.
hung a lantern on it earlier and they gave you a little foreshadowing, and then when they're trying to escape the casino, all of a sudden somebody like the sky's a little dark and like they do the slow mo or one character put his hand out and then a couple drops of rain lands on his palm.
That's an
They didn't do anything
alternative
like that.
universe. Like, yeah, it's like, oh, here are these zombies. They're hibernating. They're waiting for moisture. Okay, nothing
Yeah.
ever happened. It was like Chekhov's gun. Like, there's Chekhov guns everywhere in this movie, and they don't like it. Nothing happens. It's just stupid. There's such a better movie inside that movie that we just didn't get to see. Oh
Who's the other
man.
guy? Who's the guy that ended up doing Joss Whedon? Maybe there'll be a Joss Whedon cut. Army of the Dead.
Oh my
it'll be
god.
it'll be an hour and a half long because he tends for shorter movies as opposed to Zack Snyder.
You know what? There was another type of zombie. There was a scene with like Vasquez character that I thought it was actually well done. It was where these zombies were asleep in these rooms, and you can like walk through them, but you got to be super quiet. If they started waking up, then all of them woke up, and like I
Yeah,
thought
it was
that was
almost
a
like a
good
hive
scene.
mind.
Yeah, I thought that was again the zombies were the best part of the movie, and they just didn't do it. And it was just a poor movie. There was another type of zombie. Okay, there was zombies with their eyes glowing, and I was like, "What the hell is that?" Then in one of the later action scenes, one of them gets shot, and the zombie face goes out, and there's like T-1000 or
Oh
T-800
yeah, right.
inside.
There was like some sort of cyborg. I wonder if that was the screw up on the blue screen or the green screen that they were doing.
Who the hell knows,
Because
man?
I
But
saw that happened a couple times where like they'd have glowing blue eyes, and if they got shot in the head, there'd be like metal showing instead of bone.
it had to be intentional. But like, all right, how did we get Terminator zombies. Like, tell me that. Like, I want to know. This is a mystery. I want to know. how did how did Terminator zombies come out?
I actually made a note of that it happened twice. And I wrote either bad CGI or some zombies were Terminators because they had silver skulls. Okay, granted, Terminator, red eyes, right? But they had some of the zombies had silver skulls and blue light up eyes. I don't know. I think that was
Yeah.
some. I think that might have just been bad CGI, or they forgot the post production something, and that either might have been the actor with some sort of like skull cap thing on. Maybe I don't know.
There's so many logical fails throughout this movie that this doesn't even stand out. Like,
Right. I mean,
there's
that was
you.
one of many. Right. It was just buried in the pile.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I understand. Like, hey, you're looking for a movie for fun. Let's just have fun. But this movie makes the Fast and Furious movies look like Shakespearean, like physicists have like written this stuff out. It is so incomprehensibly stupid. I didn't understand. I couldn't understand how it got made, but we loved it. So I mean, people watched. So I guess that's what matters. There was another type of zombie that I liked. They were doing like the zombie royalty, like the super smart zombies, and like there was a mystery of like the head alpha zombie was like kidnapping women and keeping them alive, but we don't know why, or like if he was gonna kill them, or if he was just trying to have kids. Like there were all sorts of
Yeah, if he was
fun
creating
things,
a harem or something.
something, and yet we don't see anything. None of that.
Yeah, I
The
would have liked to have them like a post credit scene somehow where they have the zombie fetus in a lab and they're trying to figure out like how the hell because the zombies are they're dead, they're undead. So how is anything biological functioning, to nurture and grow a child? So
it,
I would have loved to have seen that explored. Some of the sci-fi biology of what he was working with there.
yeah. Again, zombies great. And it
All right.
wasn't a zombie film, really.
Yeah, it was. I don't know what kind of film it was. Really, I guess it was
I
almost like
thought it was
exploration.
like a Call of Duty game, and you were just watching cutscenes. You know
Yeah,
what I
but
mean?
nobody
Like
was yelling at Ramirez to go protect the burger joint.
I mean, it was. That's how I like started watching. I was like, this is just a Call of Duty game with cutscenes strung together. In like, that's the only way it made sense.
Well, as I
It,
said at the onset of this, if you go into it expecting it to just be a Bulletstorm zombie flick, you won't be disappointed. But don't expect it to be high caliber film. Loads of plot holes, as you pointed out. There were so many things that they foreshadowed and then just left them hanging and didn't explore it any further. Kind of like Game of Thrones season 8.
oh yeah, we're yeah, like the season that won't be talked about.
Yeah. All right. So the daughter, Batista's character's daughter, her name is Kate. Somehow in this, well, it's not a post-apocalyptic world, but there is a refugee camp outside of Las Vegas for all the people that were dispossessed from their homes and whatnot. When they had to shut down the city and wall it off. And for some reason, even though she's a volunteer in this refugee camp, she's still completely naive and smitten with altruism and does every dumb thing you can possibly do. Like I think she tries to fight the coyote that brought her friend because okay, so again, the daughter's name is Kate. Kate's friend, this woman, hears a rumor that the casino slot machines are still stocked with money. And having money in the
Gita,
refugee camp would be good. So
yeah,
there's a kite.
Gita. I think the
Yeah,
name was it.
Gita, something. Who cares? Throwaway number 5.
By the way,
And
throwaway number 5 is the reason the whole mission like failed.
yeah, she's the whole. That's right. She's the linchpin. You're absolutely right, Thrall. Good call. I didn't even think of that, but you're right. Because of her, everything goes pear shaped, and we'll get to what happens next in a sec. But so Geeta finds out that there's a coyote in the camp who can sneak people into Las Vegas, and this all happens off screen, by the way. We never see what actually happens, but Kate goes to confront the coyote and is like, "Where's my friend? How come she didn't come back with you?" And the coyote's like, "Look, I told her to stick with me. She left my side. I saved my own skin." Very rational, very smart thinking. Like if you're given a direction and you don't follow it in a very, very mortal, dangerous situation, the consequences are on you, not the person who brought you there. And of course, Kate's altruism flares up. And she's like, well, how could you do that? She was my friend, blah, 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 all that stupidity.
The daughter is the worst actress in the movie, which is saying something. She is the worst written character in the movie. She doesn't make sense. Her thing with Dave Bautista doesn't make sense because, like, hey, a nuclear bomb is coming into town. Like, maybe we should have our heart to heart now. There's a lot of heart to hearts happening, like, at the worst possible times. Like,
Yeah.
the daughter, every time the daughter's on screen, it's like, oh my goodness,
She also had a
this is
bad case of RBF, too.
RBF. Oh,
Rusty Bitch
yeah,
Face.
that was her
Never thought I'd think
character,
to
man.
say that.
Yeah, yeah, like, yeah. I mean, okay, can I tell you my biggest pet peeve in the movie?
Sure.
And Kate is the defining person in this. This is a
Okay.
team of military people or people who live in a world where zombies exist and they live in a refugee camp or volunteer in a refugee camp or whatnot, right? So they're in a mission to go inside this zombie infested place. Would you think wear like clothing or armor that would cover, you know, skin? Everyone's got tank tops. Everyone's showing legs and arms. Everyone's wearing t-shirts. Like Kate is just wearing throughout the entire movie is wearing a t-shirt.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, who the hell would get into a zombie infested place not wearing long sleeves or any armor other than a vest? Everyone has vests, armored vests, but like
There's
it was
one guy
just
who wore a helmet. One guy wore a
that.
helmet. The Alpha Plus zombie wore a helmet because he knew that he could get shot in the head and killed.
Okay, Alpha Zombie's helmet was magnetic because bullets kept flying straight into his helmet. Instead of his entire body, every bullet just launched itself at the helmet. It was insane. He was blocking bullets with his forehead. I mean, okay, since we're going full spoilers, at the very end, a helicopter just disintegrates into the desert, right? Everyone inside the helicopter is dead, except one person, Kate, because she had her freaking volunteer t-shirt on. All right, I'm just getting off my soapbox. I hated this character, and I hated that this military people all went into the zombie situation wearing nothing like they just wanted to get bitten.
Yeah, like no tactical assault gear, SWAT gear to protect
Nothing.
their arms, necks, legs, torsos.
They
Because
all
really,
wanted to
the
get
only thing
bitten.
they had to do was protect themselves from being bit.
Right.
So any kind of functional body armor would have helped with that.
Did you get the sense that the zombies didn't like to bite either? Like the zombies weren't exactly going for, you know what I mean? Traditionally,
I
zombies
think
want to
that was
bite.
dramatic effect because, like, some of the characters, get surrounded or piled on, and yet they're still telling their friends, like, go on without me before they get devoured. I think that was just dramatic pause. I think eventually they got devoured.
Yeah, yeah. It's just again, the movie's so stupid. You're like, this is a zombie flick with zombies that don't try to eat you. Like,
Well,
it's
they were also under the thrall of the Alpha Plus, and as I said earlier, they did have some sort of rudimentary culture. Like the Coyote chick has some sort of bargain or loose understanding with the zombie hierarchy that she can
right,
come and go as long as like she respects them. You
right.
know?
That character and that actress, she sort of did an okay job. Like I can't hate on her. Like she did what she could with the role. But again, also, why is the coyote who's experienced with zombies not wearing just a
Why is she
vest
wearing a
and
tank top?
why is she wearing a tank top? It's just like, oh my god, just this
Yeah.
movie was so bad.
And then Tanaka sends in his right hand man to go with the military team because he knows the layout, air quotes. He's shady as you know what. He's shady AF.
Not a
Since,
single person is fooled.
yeah, nobody's fooled. And he's supposed to get something. We don't even know what he's supposed to get. And then we get out. Well, actually, we find out later what he's supposed to get and get out. But throughout the whole time, he's trying to off the whole team. And it's like, dude, your chances of survival are marginally better if you have people with you instead of trying to survive this alone. Like, there was no common sense there. There was no survival factor on his part at all. The character's name was Martin. I don't know if I said that. But like he arranges for the Vasquez character to lose her way going through the hibernating zombies, and she ends up bumping a couple by accident, which like wakes up thousands of them. Which I think starts the domino effect for the entire party being chased through all of leftover Las Vegas. Like that made zero sense. Like if you're the foil and you're supposed to screw the party over, you do it at the end after you get out, not while you're trying to survive.
Also, another reference to Alien. Remember Paul Reiser's character who worked for Wayland in Alien or Alien? I think it's Aliens. Paul Reiser's character, he worked for Wayland Yutani, and he basically like he for the sake of the company he sacrificed the team. He wanted like live specimens of the alien.
Oh right, yeah.
It was exactly that.
Okay.
I was like, oh my god. Just another homage, I guess. But it's just like, okay, I gotta say another thing, okay? The plan is go to the casino, go to the basement, go to the vault, open the vault, take as much money as you can. And the roof of the casino is going to be a helicopter. Use the helicopter to fly home. So the team has automatic like rifles and assault guns and everything, and they're having gas canisters on their back. It's like, oh my god.
Well, I think they knew initially that they were going to have to gas up the chopper in case the gasoline. And I mean, that was my rationale. I was like, okay, the chopper. We don't know how long, or they might have told us with like a screen bump how long it's been since Las Vegas was walled off. But we don't know if the chopper still had gas or not.
No, that part makes sense. But the visual of like everyone having like containers of gas on their backs and shooting guns, like in a very not disciplined way. I was like, oh my god.
Well, that's movie magic where you shoot a gas can and it explodes. That's actually not reality. Plus, that was one of the few militarily smart things they did is that they divided up the critical supplies amongst everybody instead of the one guy carrying, 400 gallons of gas by himself. And of course, he dies and they can't recover the gas. Right.
Good point.
So they distributed the critical supplies, which at least that's how I saw it. Maybe it wasn't intended that way.
I mean, the helicopter engine explodes, and like Tig Notaro's character is like, yeah, everything is fine, and then like next scene with the helicopter, everything is fine.
But they foreshadowed that though because she was part of the Spec Ops team. I guess she was one of the helicopter pilots for the Spec Ops. And she's been a helicopter pilot the entire time.
She's good. She's good at her job.
So her experience as a pilot has just gone up, and it looks like when they came to her to broach her for the deal, that she was like in the middle of fixing a helicopter, so like she knew what she was doing.
Now, Lone, you mind if we take a little detour?
I do have about 30 more things I'd like to cover, but sure.
So, Tig Notaro, she was not originally casted for this movie. Chris D'Elia was. Chris D'Elia did all his scenes and everything was in the can. And then he got taken out of the movie. And they reshot every scene that he was in with her, and they green screened everything. Now, again, Tig was one of the two people who were good in the movie. So this is nothing about her, but I don't know how I felt about Chris D'Elia being taken out of a movie because he was accused of, I think what he was accused was of pedophilia, that he was hitting on girls less than 18 years old. But like it turned out that as soon as he found out that they were not of age, he just cut off all communication. And these girls would hit on him through Twitter or whatnot. I mean, I don't know. I just didn't feel that it was the right call for the movie people to take the guy out of the movie.
You have to know by now that an accusal is as good as a conviction in this modern climate.
I just think this was
an accusal means you lose your job, and then the court of public opinion vastly outweighs an actual court of law because the accusal is all that matters now. You get accused.
In this case, the most people who know about the situation took his side because it was clear, like he was very clear about his act. He's just a dude hitting on girls hitting on him, and as soon as they were not of age, he cut off communication. So he was in the right the whole time. So
that doesn't matter, man. It's the accusal. The accusal is what does it. We're going to get on that topic.
Another time. Yeah, I
The stupidity of cancel culture. We'll do another time. But I have
yeah,
30 more
just
things.
didn't want to take too much of a detour, but it was just weird.
All right, but we'll talk about that another time. I still have a whole laundry list of
Let's get
observations, my friend.
For sure.
So the pressure plate traps in front of the bank vault, and they were trying to like Rube Goldberg their way through luring a zombie. And it's like, why don't you just go grab one of the zombie bodies and just skid it down the hall? The weight of the body will trigger the pressure plates, no problem. Instead of you guys risking life and limb to try and lure active zombies into the hallway. It made no sense.
Also, the vault didn't make any sense either, because then no human being would actually be able to use it. Like it's Indiana Jones death trap. It's not a vault you put money in.
Right, like who the hell would put I don't think there was a flamethrower, but there was the trope that the two walls slam together and smush whatever's in the way.
Yeah.
I think there were darts came out of
They
the
were
wall,
darts,
like Indiana Jones
right?
style. You're right.
That
There
was
just
the
wasn't
first one.
There was no giant boulder. They should have included that.
Why not at that point, right? It was just dumb. It was like,
while we're talking about the vault, do you know how much $1 million in $100 bills weighs?
way more than people can carry, let alone carry in a helicopter.
It's 22 pounds just for the 1 million. There was 200 million in there. So that means 200 times 22 is 400 and change pounds worth of money. That I think they showed up with 2 duffel bags. It's like there's no way.
It was stupid.
There's no way they're carrying that out of there.
Yeah, it was just like, wait, when it was like actual cash, I was like, this doesn't make sense. I thought there would be like valuables,
or
like
gold bars. Yeah,
gold bars would have been right. Yeah, I think gold bars would have made or like paintings or something. But cash and $100 bills, I was like, ugh. Again, not well thought out. These things weren't well thought out. It did give us the Dieter and black guy interaction, though. That was good.
That was good. Again, as I said earlier, they did have some good screen chemistry together. Like they almost became like besties towards the end, especially when Dieter sacrifices himself to save Vanderoe. I wrote down a couple notes, and for the life of me, I can't remember the context, so I'm hoping maybe this jars your memory, Tiral. I wrote down that they could have sawed the hatch block. Oh, right, that's right. When they're trying to go up the fire escape,
To the roof.
asshole Martin locks it behind him, and they're all like, "Oh no, what do we do?" And meanwhile, Vanderoe's favorite weapon is a tactical circular saw
which
cutting
never gets
doors.
used for anything. It's another Chekhov's gun.
I think we see it in the flashbacks in the beginning. We see him using it.
It gets set up to be this awesome thing, and then we never see it again. It never gets used.
Right. And they're like, what do we do? He locked the hatch. And meanwhile, the guy's got this tactical circular saw. He could have easily sliced that hatch open like butter, and they don't, which is so dumb. I'm getting frustrated just talking about this movie, Terrell. The coyote, she pointlessly sacrificed herself. Like, she could have easily have left with the group. It was one of those, go! I'll hold them off. Meanwhile, there's a whole...
Of all the people who could have, like, just left the group, she could have just gone because this is her job. Like, she didn't.
Yeah, like, she knew her way around, too. It's not like it was her first exposure to the post-apocalyptic Las Vegas. Like, she knew her way around. She could have easily, like, snuck off down a side tunnel and found her way back out. So much wrong, man.
We might have to, like, all right, go to your observations because we're just going to be complaining.
Yeah, right. It's just going to be us like, this sucked, and that sucked, and this sucked. Right, okay. There's the Bly Casino, and then for some reason, that's right, the Alpha Plus zombie and his court are shacked up in the Olympus Casino. When the idiot daughter wanders off on her own to go save her friend Gita, Scott figures out, oh, that's where she went. They got the helicopter operational. They actually get the helicopter from the Bly Casino to the Olympus Casino, and they had just left all the zombies in the Bly Casino. Yet somehow all the zombies arrive at the Olympus Casino before the helicopter lands. It's like the zombies got a movie magic.
Magic horse, man. The Alpha had a magic zombie horse that was faster than a helicopter.
But it wasn't just him. It was the entire horde of zombies arrived with him.
Oh, it was like, so stupid.
They were on almost the top floor of the Bly Casino, which was, 30, 40, 50 floors tall, maybe taller. I wasn't really counting. They had to get down to the ground floor, run to the other casino, and then get to the roof.
Then go back up.
Yeah.
Like a U. They had to do a U thing.
Right. They had to cover a lot of ground when the helicopter had to go in a straight line.
They
And somehow
fast
they beat the
traveled.
helicopter. Yeah, they portal. I guess they portal. Maybe that's what the blue-eyed guys do. Maybe they're portal guns. I don't know.
It was so stupid. My favorite part is okay. So Tignataro takes the helicopter, and like Bautista and Kate are like, "Hey, you're gonna wait for us, right?" And she's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And they come back, and there's no helicopter, and like they're like, "Oh my God, she betrayed us." And like then the helicopter comes back. I was like, "Yeah, I thought about it." But you're like, wait a minute, man. Helicopters are loud. Like if a helicopter was nearby, I would be like, "Hey, there's a helicopter nearby." Like
Yeah,
you
because
can't.
if she was circling the building, they would have,
Yeah,
especially a spec ops guy like
Yeah,
Scott.
this is a stealth helicopter.
It's a stealth helicopter that's been out in the rain for years.
Yeah, like oh my God, like
One other thing I want to just backtrack a little bit. So you mentioned earlier that the Alpha Plus was keeping the
the
female
girls,
humans
yeah,
as prisoners in this suite. And
for some reason, for
when we
something,
first see them, there's 3 prisoners. Okay, and then when Kate goes back to get her friend, and I think the Alpha or maybe the former security guard, the rapist security guard, I think he kills one of the other prisoners, but Kate escapes with Gita. But the third prisoner is no longer in the room, and we never see the third prisoner again. So, like, there was a third woman in the room, then poof, she's gone.
yeah. Oh yeah, the third lady just disappears. We never hear from
Right.
her again.
I did like the scene, though, where we learned that I called it immediately because I watched it with somebody else, and I was like, the undead tiger. I'm like, I bet you that tiger is from Siegfried and Roy. And then later
Yeah,
on they
yeah.
say that's Valentine from Siegfried and Roy.
And
And I thought the undead tiger was pretty cool.
the tiger was cool, and we didn't see enough of it.
It was kind of like the Herald, though, the Alpha Plus. Like when the tiger was around, you got
Yeah,
the impression the Alpha Plus was around,
that would have been cool. I don't think they did, but I think that's a cool idea.
Maybe I'm reading into it, but it did seem like whenever we saw the tiger, the Alpha Plus or the Queen were not
It
too
was
far away,
nearby. Yeah.
One other small observation too, and it's weird. Sorry, folks, I always catch like the little weird stuff. It might be utterly inconsequential, but once I see it, I can't forget it. Batista's character Scott, he had the American flag patch on his military gear, and the flag was
Hmm.
upside down the entire time. I don't
That's a
usually.
sign of
Well, that's a sign of
emergency.
distress, right? Like if
Yeah.
you hang the flag upside down, that means that your immediate area is either under attack or distressed or
Right.
whatever.
Right.
I don't know though if that was the intent or if that was just a major costuming flub and they never fixed it.
Oh, that's a good point. At this point, I'd probably say there was a flub. Like,
Yeah,
we're
who am I kidding,
justifying.
right?
Yeah. Like, we're justifying. Like, no,
Finally,
but it
I'm
brings us up
sorry. Go
another
ahead.
thing. We didn't see enough Bautista. Like, I wanted more of him in the movie.
Yeah, I wanted him to survive too. I wish that he was like, okay, maybe the golden ending would have been that he reconciles with his daughter and they both survive and they go on to start anew somewhere because he's got 2
Money.
bags with money.
Yeah. Right.
He's like, the hell with that Tanaka guy. I'm gonna keep the money. And meanwhile, the whole plan was a double cross because Tanaka didn't even want the money. He wanted, for some reason, which I think never really found out, but for some reason, he wanted the head of the zombie queen. For some reason, he wanted
Research.
that instead of the Alpha Plus.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Like, it's still not the greatest plot device, but I get it.
Yeah, but I could see, okay, like we gotta somehow capture the Alpha Plus because they want to study him. They want to see what turned him into what he is.
Yeah, or like
But
Alpha was too dangerous. So they're like, we'll get the next best. The
too
Alpha might
dangerous.
be,
In a city full of
yeah,
zombies, one guy is just too dangerous.
yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Good point. Good point.
Final observation, or at least on my envelope worth of notes. Nobody ever locks the door, except for the one time when Martin locks the hatch. Nobody locks the door. They go into a room, they clear the room, they don't lock the door behind them, like ever. And it's like, there's zombies out there. Locking the door will slow them down.
the other thing was like, okay, you know that book I keep mentioning, Save the Cat, and how like a lot of Hollywood movies basically take the book's outline on how to write a screenplay. On the dot, they followed the book where everything was going badly, and then like they get the news that the military decided to nuke the city a day before schedule. So instead of having like a day for them to escape, they had an hour.
Yeah.
I was like, that was stupid. That's not how the military works. Also, right after that happens, Bautista's girlfriend decides to have like a heart-to-heart talk about their relationship. After being found that we have an hour to leave Las Vegas or we get nuked, she's like, where do we stand? Where's this headed? Like,
Oh, right. Doesn't she get her neck snapped too? Like she gets her head twisted around
yep.
180? Everybody dies, folks, except for the annoying daughter. And Vandero makes it out. So they do leave it on a cliffhanger. Because he escapes and he's flashing the money and he gets a private jet somewhere else. I forgot where he goes. Was it Reno? I don't remember.
No. So you're right. He technically two people survive.
The daughter doesn't count though because she's pretty much useless the entire movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, but the impression is that he's bit by the Alpha Plus because he's not turning quickly and it's not a gout like a full mouth bite out of his arm. It's just teeth marks in his arm. And that he's going to be the next Alpha to start up the whole problem again in whatever city he's going to. So they do leave it on a good zombie movie cliffhanger. Like maybe the world isn't safe yet, you know?
Well, I mean, they're going to Mexico City, so that's where the next.
There's no population density issues there at all. They'll be fine.
Okay, the funniest thing. This is funny to me is okay. We see the zombie thing happen, right? We see the origin point where, you know, the first zombie escapes the military and goes into Vegas. When they show Las Vegas, it was like as if they took all the CGI from What If There Were No Humans from the Discovery Channel, like, you know, Earth Without the Humans. And
Yeah.
like,
Oh man, I know the name of that show, and it's on the tip of my tongue, and I can't remember.
but they made Vegas look like it degraded 400 years in like 30
Yeah.
days. God, all the windows are broken, everything is rusted out, like everything is messed up. I'm like, how did this happen like in less than 100 years? It's just because he looked cool and he was
I
just
think
like,
it's
all
Life
right.
After Humans or something
Life
like
After
that.
Humans. You're right.
Yeah.
That's the one. Yeah, Vegas went from like 0 to Life After Humans in 30 days. It was crazy.
All right. That's surprisingly a small list for me, folks. I'm sure you expected more, but I think I covered it pretty well. So, in summary, don't expect a masterpiece. You'll be extremely disappointed. Bulletstorm, action zombie flick with little to no plot and gaping giant 45 caliber holes everywhere. You won't be disappointed.
Poorly made. Watch the trailer. The trailer is good, really good. Forget the movie.
Just watch the
Now,
trailer.
just watch the trailer. It's fantastic. Now, go watch the trailer of another movie me and Lone Wolf watched along with two other friends. The trailer for this movie sucked. The Wrath of Man with Guy Ritchie directing and Jason Statham. This trailer is hot garbage. Do not watch the trailer. Watch the movie. It is legitimately good. It is fantastic. Instead of Army of the Dead, watch Wrath of Man.
It's a sleeper film. You're right, because the trailer does blow. There hasn't been anywhere near the publicity for that there was for Army of the Dead. And Wrath of Man, dude, there was some. We're not going to do the review of that now, or else this will be like a 2.5 hour podcast, and I know you hate long hours.
I'm just saying, like,
but it's worth it.
If we're gonna say don't watch a movie, we got to recommend a movie to watch instead, and this is fantastic. Yeah, absolutely. Watch the trailer for Army of the Dead. Go watch the movie Wrath of Man. Anything else you want to add, or?
Sorry, I thought you were still going.
No. I mean, listen. Even if you're not a fan of Jason Statham, this is a damn good movie. Like, it was very good.
I think that's pretty much it. I mean, it is 2.5 hours long. Good popcorn flick, you know. But I was sadly disappointed. Is my final take on it. I was really hoping for more. Bautista, he looks like he's trying to carry the whole thing. He's the only one with any kind of range of emotion. Everybody else is like a cookie cutter comic book character almost.
Yeah, like a two-dimensional. Yeah, it's just Zack Snyder thinks in terms of action sequences. He doesn't think in terms of movie or story. He just has like these. It's like the Michael Bay filmmaking school, like where you think about the action set piece first, and then you just string it along with something else.
Yeah. Oh, well. All right, Tiral. I think we're starting to peter out, so let's wrap it up.
Mm-hmm.
Any final thoughts?
Watch for Wrath of Man instead.
And I'd even go back and say, watch Nobody.
Ooh, we
That's a
gotta have
good movie.
another. We gotta have another episode
You
of
know, we
that
just
one.
keep putting off the political stuff by sticking on the entertainment movie and series reviews, which, by the way, speaking of series, Ragnorak on Netflix. Watch it, watch it, watch it.
We gotta talk about that next episode.
I guess we're going to talk about that next.
Yeah.
All right, folks.
Yeah.
With that in mind, thanks for joining us once again. Please continue the conversation in the comments below. And as always, please like and subscribe.
Have a good one.